Saturday, the 21st day of March 2026. A very warm welcome to our cherished listeners and viewers. You're welcome to the Focus on Z 101.9 FM, your lifestyle, leisure, and business platform. It's exactly 9:12. And today on the Focus, we're going to have a double-barreled conversation. We're talking about how Galamsey pollution is threatening us, specifically how it's threatening newborn children and their health in Ghana. And later we'll also have a conversation on CAF's decision on Senegal and its implication on African football. Again, I'm very grateful for your time this morning, for you tuning in to Z101.9 FM, and those of you who want to see us live, you can join us on our Facebook platform, that is ZFMGH, or you can also join us on YouTube at Z Multimedia. If you want to listen to us from around the world, you can join us on www.zmultimedia.com. For our conversations today, you can join us on our WhatsApp line, that is 0544321019, 0544321019, and we're happy to read your contributions or your questions. We'll take a very short breather here. When we come back, we'll take news from around the world, and my guests will join me to have the conversation on CAF's decision and on how Galamsey is affecting our newborn children. My name is Kweku Atakra Jumo. Do not go away. Stay tuned. the world. In the United States, the Justice Department has filed an A-plus lawsuit on Friday against Harvard University, saying its leadership failed to address anti-Semitism on campus, creating grounds for the government to freeze existing grants and seek repayment for grants already paid. The lawsuit filed in federal courts in Massachusetts is another missive in a protracted battle between the administration of President Donald Trump and the elite university. Harvard did not immediately respond to a quest for comment. Justice Department sues Harvard for data as it investigates how race factors into admissions. The lawsuit comes after negotiations appear to have bogged down in the months-long battle with the Trump administration that has tested the boundaries of the government's authority over America's universities. What began as an investigation into campus anti-Semitism escalated into an all-out feud as the Trump administration slashed more than $2.6 billion in research funding, ended federal contracts, and attempted to block Harvard from hosting international students. Also, Norris, best known for playing Cordell Walker in the long-running television series Walker, Texas Ranger, died at peace on Thursday, surrounded by his family. Norris was born in Oklahoma in 1940. He served in the U.S. Air Force before rising to fame as a martial arts star and later secured his big screen break alongside Bruce Lee in 1972's Way of Dragon. Norris was the real deal, and he utilized his expertise in martial arts to help him launch a decades-long screen career, writing out as indicated by Entertainment Reporter. Chuck Norris also featured in a range of memes that made light of Norris' tough guy image. One shows a picture of his face with a slogan in an emergency 911 calls him. Now, the UK government has also agreed a deal with Nigeria to make it easier to remove people with no right to be in the UK. For the first time, the Nigerian government will recognize UK letters and an identification document issued to individuals without a valid passport, so people no longer have to wait for emergency travel documents to be issued before they can be returned. The agreement was struck during President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's state visit to the UK. Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer hailed the president's visits, the first by a leader of a West African nation in 37 years, as historic. Called on leaders involved in the ongoing Middle East conflict to choose dialogue over war, urging a peaceful resolution to end the suffering of innocent civilians. Speaking at the Independence Square in Accra on Friday, March 20th, during the Eid al-Fitr celebrations, the president expressed concern over the escalating violence in the region, noting the devastating human cost of the conflict. The president specifically appealed to the key global leaders involved in the war, including U.S. President Donald Trump, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and Iran's Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei to demonstrate leadership in ending the conflict. A new data from the Ghana Statistical Service has revealed that about 57.1% of persons who hawk goods and services earn about 100 Ghana cedis or less per day. According to the 2024 Integrated Business and Established Survey IBESI 1, one out of three of businesses that operate in fixed locations but not within a structure also earn about 100 Ghana cedis or less. The business surveyed were categorized into two: open space business, defined as those operating in fixed location without permanent structures, and on the other hand, a mobile business refers to an enterprise that operates without a fixed location through methods such as head porterage, hawking, or the use of motorized and non-motorized vehicles. Many thanks for staying with us. If you're just tuning in, you're live on the Focus on Z101.9 FM, your lifestyle, leisure, and business platform. We'll take a very short break, and we come back. As I mentioned, today we're going to have a double-barreled conversation. We'll be looking at how galamsey pollution is threatening newborn health in Ghana. We're also going to be analyzing CAF's decision on Senegal and its implications on African football. Again, you can join us on our Facebook or on our YouTube channel, that is ZFMGH or Z Multimedia. Or if you want to listen to us from around the world, you can tune into www.zmultimedia.com. You can send in your comments and your contributions to our WhatsApp line 0544321019. 0544321019. We'll take a very short break here, and when we come back, the focus rolls.
Z 101.9 FM.
Inida Osako dear on his track Hope. If you're just tuning in, you're welcome to the Focus on Z101.9 FM, your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to have a conversation on Galamsey pollution, and today we're going to specifically look at how it's threatening the health and lives of our newborn children. In fact, the newborn children and children unborn. And to help me have this conversation, I have with me Dr. Kenneth Kweju Obing. And Dr. Obing is an economic analyst, and he's also a Master of Law student in Dispute Resolution and Practice at the Gimpa Law School. And he also is a sports enthusiast. I'm sure he's going to help us join us have the conversation on CAF. But for now, Doctor, you're welcome to the show. Hello, Dr. Obing, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, sir, you're welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and I trust you're doing well.
Yeah, doing well by the grace.
Right. Now, on this conversation of Galamsey, we've had it severally from different points. It's come up severally, but now we have started seeing some new twist. And in fact, my production team will shortly show on the screen some very worrying pictures. And I must say that our viewers, we apologize to our viewers this morning, and we plead that you exercise some discretion and caution. But these are the realities we have to bring to the fore of children who are born with, some of them born with one limb, some of them born with no penis and all that. Now, this Galamsey is worrying. I recall when this government came into office, I think somewhere 2025, very early 2025, people started protests that let's end Galamsey now. People said that it was too early. It was too early to call on the government to take an action on Galamsey. But it's been 1 year down the drain, and I'm not too sure what has happened. Doctor, do you know if this government has started anything concrete on Galamsey?
Thank you very much, and a good morning to you and all our listeners. The issue about Galamsey, as I always say, it's not today's matter. Actually, Galamsey has been in existence over the past 200 years in Ghana here.
Interesting.
And for that matter, it has been part of our lives since the 17th century down the lane. The only issue is that it was not done on a commercial basis as we see today. It involved mainly the digging of pits and, some form of minor alluvial Galamsey activities. But for the past, let me say, put it about the past 8 to 10 years, you can see that Galamsey has really taken that kind of commercial turn. I have been very surprised that for the past, let's say, 8 to 10 years, that we started seeing the use of excavators and bulldozers to dig deep into the ground. At first, it was being done manually, but now it's being dug with the use of heavy equipment like bulldozers and excavators and others. And most of them too are being done on the river itself. I'm from a Galamsey-prone area, from Amansie West, and Galamsey has really devastated our lands. And it's one issue that becomes very difficult really talking about it today. because of the endemic nature of the activity, boldly supported by chiefs and politicians, and big-time politicians when we say that. And it's been very difficult controlling this Galamsey menace, as I was talking about. Initially, I'm from Amansia West, as I said, Mansu, Asaman, and that area, when we were kids, we used to go and swim in the Ofen River, and we used to go and do our washing at the banks. Whenever the main river that is close to us in the village gets dried up during the dry season, Ofen used to have a definite channel. But now when you go to the place, my brother, you will not even see the channel properly. The whole area is devastated and turned, once a forest area has been turned to more or less flat land. And the river just meanders its way across. And now whenever there's dry season, the rivers are all dried, including more or less a significant portion of the Ofen River itself. Efforts have been made to provide some kind of boreholes and others in most of the towns in my area, for instance. But it's not enough. Since this government came into power, it's really took some kind of bold steps to try and regulate this Galamsey issue. And the efforts have been to try and weed out those who are indiscriminately doing the Galamsey on the rivers and others. There have been flashpoints that the joint exercise of the military and the police and others have all been put in place to try and destroy some of these equipments and flush the people off the Galamsey areas. I know government too has tried to organize the small-scale mining operations so that those who will be registered can really undertake the mining in a more suitable way that will ensure that there's no environmental degradation as it has been over the past few years that we have seen. And I've seen a lot of effort in this direction, and in Takwa, Prestia area, and then also in Manson area, and I've also seen some efforts at Sefi side there that most of these Galamsey people are being organized to try and stop the degradation of the environment. So, so far, some efforts have been made, but what we should realize is that the Galamsey was on a very, very high scale. If you take the period between 2020 and 2024, for instance, that was the greatest and highest time that the Galamsey really spread across most areas in the eastern region through to some portions of central region and then to my main area, Dunkwa outside there, stretching into the Manson area that I was talking about. The number of bulldozers that were retrieved from the area, some were bent and others, I think a lot of effort was also made under Nana Akufo-Addo's administration, where most of the bulldozers and excavators were destroyed, and a number of them were confiscated. But the problem with the Galamsey issue had to do with the law that was passed and permitted some companies to enter some of the forest areas and, you know, did the mining in those areas. And we are happy to know that at least government has annulled that law, and that today it is a very grievous offense to enter forest areas to do the Galamsey mining or the illegal mining. So at least some efforts have been made. Initially, we saw the gravity of the issue. It has also got to do with some kind of unemployment, and a number of people also came from outside countries to participate in the illegal mining. So it's a lot of effort that needs to be put in place so that at least we can wipe out this issue completely.
Right. And we've also been joined by Father Joseph Blay, who is a Reverend Father and an anti-Galamsey campaigner. And Father Blay, you're welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So Dr. Bing was helping us appreciate the state of Galamsey in the country in this or under this new administration. I mentioned earlier that when this new administration took over office, there were lots of campaigns against them to stop Galamsey. A lot of concerns came up saying that it was too early in their administration. 1 year down the line, so they have had to have a conversation about Galamsey pollution and how it's affecting newborn children. From your seat, or where you sit as an anti-Galamsey person, do you think that there's been any effort so far targeted at Galamsey by this government?
So thank you very much for the question. And first of all, I greet all your listeners. I think I will, right from the beginning, appreciate the effort that government has made. I remember in September when we met or invited some of us in the presidency, the government outlaid some of the structures and actions that we were taking. They are good on papers, and we've seen the effort, for example, of the NIMOS headed by Kenneth Bua, very committed, nice gentleman, a real patriot, ready to die for the country. We've seen also the commitment of Amabua, Honorable Minister Kofi Amabua, and the Pakwesi Panchoff. These are doing very, very well. But I think that we still need to really do more. Yeah. So the effort that they are making, like they mentioned that there were 9 red zones, no-go area. They've been able to retrieve about 3 or 4. However, the other narratives are also saying that whereas they are retrieving, there are still some that we are losing. Again, the people are getting more armed. So what do we expect the government to do? Recently I read, I think yesterday or so, I read on Joy that the president, City News, that President Mahama has honestly admitted that some of his own men are involved. So if they are involved, we know that he's a great man of integrity. He came out with a code of conduct for his own ministers. I heard him say that any minister, any appointee, whether MCE or what, involved in Galamsey, is going to sack the person. So these are the talks that we want to be walked. So now if he knows, he has confessed that some of his people are getting involved, and indeed, some even came out, like what happened to NIMOS in Kenyasi area. What are the actions that are being taken? Because you can only bring sanity when we begin to implement our laws. So I will first of all appreciate the efforts that they are making. They have done very well. We've seen a lot of chamfans being burned by NIMOS. Some NIMOS members, I think soldiers, have even lost their life for love of the country. That one should be appreciated. We have to appreciate those ones. And then ask that still, we have not reached the target that we want. Our rivers are still good for nothing. Sometimes, I remember about 2-3 months ago, somebody put on a picture of the Ankobra, that the Ankobra restored. That one is a farce, it's a deception. Ankobra water can never be green. It has never been green. Those of us who come from the area, even when there's a high tax. So this thing with the AI, you just sit down there, use the AI, and then come out and Ankobra restored. Come on, we deceiving. When we're young, if your mother is still in the farm, you say he has come. Well, he's going to cook for you. So I just passed by. You look at the pictures, Ankobra is completely still gone. If you go to the estuary, 2 kilometers or even about 5 nautical kilometers into the sea, it's all red. Go to Shaman, again about 3, 4, 5 kilometers into the sea, it's all red. What are we doing to ourselves? Our rivers are good for nothing. Tagua is gone. Go to the Abe Lagoon. The Ivorians once even lodged a complaint that, look, the Ghanaians are taking our livelihood from us because the Ivory Lagoon, they produce the, I don't know, but in our area we call it a kind of herring, the tilapia. That was the livelihood of the people. Now, because of the Ghanaians who have destroyed the Bia River and then the Tano River, the people have lost their livelihood. So we cannot deceive ourselves. The fight is not political. It's not political. The fight is national. It is all about our national livelihood. It is all about our existence as a country. It is all about our responsibility and obligation to the next generation, and even gratitude to our forbearers, our ancestors, Kwame Nkrumah and traditional leaders who really fought and then got this land and protected it. Is that our gratitude to them to destroy it? Is that our responsibility to that generation? So for me, it's a whole moral. That is why as a priest I get involved. Because it's more than, it's not politics. When you put politics aside, it's not nothing political. It's all about Ghana and our existence.
Right, very intriguing. And there's been some footage that I mentioned. We'll be showing it very soon. And again, let me just put on the record that the pictures which you're going to be streaming very soon contain images which some viewers may find disturbing. And so viewer discretion is advised. But Father, what do you think is causing now children to be born with no limbs, especially in the Galamsey areas? Is it because of the water they are drinking, or what specifically is causing that?
Thank you so much. Here I don't claim authority, but I want to claim credence to Professor Paul Sampene. And I hope that you have some of his pictures. But if you were to see the pictures, the research that he has done, Professor Sampene has single-handedly, painstakingly studied over 2,000 placentas. According to it, over 2,000 placentas, we all know that sac that the fetus lie in the mother's womb for 9 months before it is born. So one is there, it feeds on it, it defecates, it does everything inside until it is born. So he studied these placentas. Why?
Just for a second, Father, just for a second. So those who have joined us on Facebook, those who have joined us on our Facebook or YouTube, we are showing some of the pictures of children born in Galamsey areas who are deemed to have been affected by Galamsey activity. You see currently on the screen a child born with, I think, about 6 limbs, 2 arms, and about 4 legs. We just showed one who was born with just 1 leg, 1 leg, 2 arms, and looks like there's a placenta. I think that's what you were speaking of, Father. I think
exactly. These are from Professor Sampene. There's one with 2 hands and then 4 limbs, like a frog.
Yeah,
there's one was born in Asentegoa, and I think that appeared even in Poison for Gold, a documentary done by Erastus Asaldonko. So Poison for Gold, a child with only one leg, whether we call it a leg or whatever. It has no genital organ. It has no anus. It has no. It's terrible. Yeah, and then there are some. In fact, the first that appeared was in Anwin, my area. Anwin in Sawom, a town called Sawom. That was around 2017. And when that appeared, even that time I was in Rome, I was the minister that when investigation, it brushed it aside, and that nurse was transferred. The midwife is one of the typical Galamsey area. Don't have any water. So the children drinking from this water, according to Professor Paul Sampene, says that heavy metals, including mercury, including lead, including calcium, cadmium, and then cyanide. When the mothers drink this, it passes through the placenta. And then when the placenta can sometimes protect children from other metals, but these metals enter into the placenta. And when they enter there, it affects their brain development, what we call a neural development. It affects their IQ. It affects also the physical formation. And the result is what we are seeing. And in fact, prior to Professor Sampene's report, there has been an earlier research by scientists, not even Ghana, but earlier this thing happened in a town in Japan called Minamata. So Minamata, it was discovered that there was a big industry. People were putting their chemical residues, mercury, into their source of water. So at a point, children in the Minamata were born with so many deformities. When the scientists came out and then discovered that this is the cause, that gave rise to the UN convention called the Minamata Convention, which Ghana is a signatory. So the Minamata Convention states that all the signatories have to limit the importation of mercury. So now here in Ghana, do we have a limit of importation of mercury? You go to a place like Onongo, mercury is sold on the streets. Cyanide is sold on the streets. So these are the effects that are happening. When it's scientific, it is scientific. It's not just a prediction, or it's not just a conjecture. It's scientific, coming all the way from Minamata, and then now our own renowned erudite scientist, Professor Osambeni, has come out and produced a very brilliant work. In fact, in his work, he states that I disclaim I am not a politician, I am not founded by anybody. There's no conflict of interest. It's not that anybody has done something and I'm doing this again. I'm doing this for love of Ghana, for love of humanity as a medical doctor.
Intriguing. Let me turn to Dr. Obeng. Doctor, now, I mean, looking at, I'm sure you can also see the images streaming on our leg. Again, the viewer discretion is ultimately advised. We can see a young boy currently in the arms of the mother. I think he doesn't have a leg. The other leg also doesn't look too healthy. Dr. Obeng, so previously we were told Galamsey is affecting the environment, it's affecting the land. It didn't feel personal. Now our future labor force, our future leaders are being born with all kinds of deformities from these Galamsey activities. What do you have to say, Doctor?
Yeah, thank you. I think the father has said apart from those subjects. I just want to add that outbreak of such diseases in mining areas is not a new thing. We all remember the Burili Ulcer time and a whole lot of health hazards. As I said, if you come to my Holy Village area in the Manson area, you see that these sicknesses are, and then health issues that are affecting both children and adults. It's so devastating. And the unfortunate thing is that we don't have very good hospitals in the area too. If you take Manson area, for instance, apart from Dubia and Agui, where we have the Catholic hospital, you don't have any significant hospital in the area, unless maybe you come to Manson Kwanta or you end up in Konfanochi. Indeed, as I said earlier, these diseases have been with us all this time. Sometimes when it comes in this greater form, like the way the Buliri ulcer came, and then there's normally some kind of quick firefighting, and we don't really get to the roots of these issues. And as Father has already mentioned, most of this cyanide and all the chemicals are sold publicly in most of these mining areas. There are no controls. And I mentioned earlier that most of these issues come with the fact that agriculture that used to be the backbone of most of these villages has virtually collapsed. And because of some kind of ineffective policies that could spare up agricultural activities. And we all know about all these effects, lack of fertilizers, lack of storage, and so on and so forth. So it has really provided more or less some kind of unemployment in such areas. And with the outburst of this gold Galamsey activities, everybody virtually has turned to this Galamsey to get the quick money that can sort of improve on their livelihoods. Then we also talk about cocoa, which is also now experiencing a very difficult period. And because of the fact that it is juicy to sell even cocoa lands, my own brother sold his cocoa land, and he was even having challenges with those people who bought it as for how they could dig mine the gold from there. It resulted in police case, and I had to move in to try and he was even put at what do you call it, cells for no apparent reason, because these security guys are really in league with the Galamsey people. I think Father rightly mentioned it, that even the main body that was set up to try and fight, the PRO has been on record as saying that despite juicy offers to these military men and others, they have managed to sort of perform their duties in one way or the other. So when he mentions juicy, then you know that indeed the activity is deeply involved. Now coming to the health issue, as Father rightly said, with all these chemicals polluting our waters, even the boreholes that are being dug are still infected with these chemicals. And in our area, there's also the belief, the traditional belief, that when you involve yourself with gold mining, eventually it affects your health or your children or your family in one way or the other. There's that traditional belief. So those who do this gold issue, normally when these things happen, it has been the belief that the traditional gods, the river gods, whatever, have all been part of, causing these infirmities on the children of those who have been doing this. Well, I don't know, but not that I believe, but somehow most of the villages, they believe in this traditional belief. But the real fundamental issue behind it is the chemicals that are being applied to these water bodies and the land and so on and so forth, which drain deep down, because Galamsey goes deep down. So even if you put up the boreholes, still the water is contaminated in one way or the other. And as we bring them and others, all that we can see is the results that are being produced. And I also forgot to mention one thing that government has done to try and control this Galamsey, and that has been the setting up of the gold board that is trying to mop up all these gold buyings and dealings and so on and so forth, so that they can really deal with people who are registered and people who are really in good standing as far as this gold mining is concerned. But the bottom line is the fact that there's no job. When you go to my area, as when we were young, it was full of forests. Full of forests. Now when you go traveling all the way from Manson Kwanta to the hinterlands in Amansia area, the whole area, the forests are all gone. It's not been raining there as it used to happen, because most of the trees have also been felled by the timber merchants. They are not the only people who are, it's not only gold that is degrading the place. Timber merchants are also degrading the area, and as far as those ones are concerned, they are also building houses in the area. They need some of this wood. That is what they cut to do the roofs and so on, the roofing and so on and so forth. So a number of degrading activities go on as far as the environment is concerned. But those that are really polluting the water are basically this Galamsey issue, and its effect is the health pictures that we are seeing. And the fact that we still haven't been able to build good hospitals in the area. And I lost my own brother, my senior brother, about 2 weeks ago, simply because he went to his cocoa farm and went and collapsed over there. And before evening time that the wife raised alarm that his husband hasn't come home, my other brothers rushed to the bush, even with torchlights, and he was lying down at the cocoa farm. They brought him down, had to transport him all the way to Agro-Esun Catholic Hospital, which is about 30 kilometers away. And a few days time he had passed.
Oh,
so
my condolences,
the point is that one, Agric has failed in these areas. Two, job, the youth and all those have virtually left. The rest that are there are those who are doing the galamsey. And then three, the felling of trees and others in the area, the nearly collapsing of the cocoa industry is also coming to add to the burden of that, the living in that area. So at the end, all that the people have to do is to do the galamsey for survival. And as they do for survival, this becomes the illegal method, applying all sorts of chemicals, and the effect is what we are all seeing.
I'm very intrigued by Dr. Albin, and also my condolences to your loss. But
Yeah,
you look
thank
at
you very
the effect from the worker side, but is the bigger problem not the kingpin who is setting up? Because the person being employed to do the work, he is, in the scheme of things, the smallest of fishes. The kingpin, who people will classify as the greedy one, is he not being left out unduly? Because indeed, if that galamsey kingpin did not go and set up there, all of these boys who even say they are unemployed will still not have even the benefit of going to do that job. And in terms of trying to solve it, shouldn't we rather hook the neck of the kingpins, these galamsey kingpins, first, before we come and even look at the ancillary problems of the boys and girls who are being employed?
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. But how will those people be identified? They seem to be operating from maybe space, because they are part of mainly the same people who are setting up all the military teams and others, and behind there they pass to go and get the activity done. There have been reports of deputy chief executives of the districts and municipalities in the areas. There have been reports of chiefs, prominent chiefs involved in because you can't buy an excavator. It's very expensive.
Yeah.
You can't buy a bulldozer. It's very expensive. Transporting them from one place to the other. And it looks like it's a whole clique, because when you go and flash them from one area, they resurface at another area. And we don't have enough resources for the team that is sort of monitoring all these galamsey areas. And it's a vast land. There were proposals to declare a state of emergency in these areas. And I've been asking myself whether those who have been calling for state of emergency, they understand the meaning of state of emergency within our own area or within our own territories. It's not an easy thing, because it's not everybody who is involved in the gold digging the galamsey. Some have their farms close to where they are doing the galamsey. Yeah. So if somebody decides to go to his farm and the state of emergency, it becomes somehow like sting and shoot to kill. And that is the daily bread of the people in the area. They are farmers. And the galamsey site alone cannot be a state of emergency within the towns and villages. So that is the limitation of calling for a state of emergency. We end up killing our own people if that becomes an issue. So it's difficult talking about that. But the underlying factor or the underlying point is that those who are really involved in buying the excavators, who are buying the bulldozers, who are transporting them, are the people who are behind this issue. and they must be phased out. But it looks like it's a very difficult tax because it is a whole clique. How do you report to the same person who is deemed to be involved in that same activity is the question. So to me, though we need to do more to try and fight the galamsey, the underlying structures have to be resolved. Now that cocoa has become an issue, if you go to my area, they are all threatening to cut down their cocoa trees because cocoa must have a standard price so that somebody who is a cocoa farmer will wake up at dawn. In fact, we don't go to cocoa farm like the way we go to maize farms.
Yeah.
If you are a farmer, you should understand. You maize farm, you can go in the morning, 6 a.m., and so on and so forth. Cocoa is grown in forest, deep forest area within the villages, which are normally about 3-4 kilometers deep into the forest. And we go to cocoa farm at dawn. You wake up around 4 a.m. like my brother went to his cocoa farm. You wake up around 4 a.m., walk through what do you call that? The sprinkled water on the path. You know, in Asante we call it Hesu. Walk through Hesu to go to cocoa farm. So if the cocoa farmer hasn't gotten a guaranteed price, knowing that by waking up at 4 a.m. and going to the cocoa farm to go and work there and come home around 2, 3, you should be coming home. So if we don't get these cocoa prices to be stabilized so that the farmer will know that when I go to the farm and I get one bag, I'll be making, let's say, 3,000 or whatever that price that has been guaranteed. But if he comes uncertain, so that the cocoa farmer doesn't know that by waking up at 4 a.m. to go to the cocoa farm, when he returns at the end of the period, he doesn't know how much he's going to earn, then he better doesn't wake up at that time and travel that far to go to the cocoa farm. So cocoa farm, that is why history has made it such a way that we have always had a guaranteed prices. Government can win and government can lose, but the cocoa farm has to be stabilized. And you know, it takes a long time for cocoa to sort of bear fruits.
Mature.
To mature, depending on the type of cocoa you are planting. Some 2 to 3 years and so on and so forth. So how do you plant in an anticipation that the price in the market is, let's say, 3,000, and therefore I'll plant and then wait for about 2-3 years and harvest and earn that money? And we should also remember that it's the same amount of money that they use to finance their children's school fees and others. Even though there's free SHS, the tertiary has become very expensive, very, very, very expensive. So we need to find some way and don't add cocoa matter to the already existing challenges that we are having as far as agric is concerned. You go to Manson now, the plantain that used to be the type that you can use to even chalk a car, that type, the bunch, you can use it to chalk a car. Yeah. Now the plantain you see there are like the legs of a mosquito in the area. So these days, even when I travel there, I can't buy plantain from the hinterland unless you come close to, let's say, Kumasi, where people have gone to buy from other places before you can, and Yankwanta area there, before you can get good plantain to buy. So we are in a terrible situation. There are no jobs. The farmers are aged. The lands are destroyed. You farm and storage problems for tomatoes and others. Now even Burkina has banned the sale of tomatoes, which you can't understand. That in Ghana here, we can't manage our own plant, tomatoes and others. So the farmers are in a limbo as we speak. And the children, they are all in town riding aboboya, motorbike and whatever, what do you call it, car mates and others in order to earn a living. So when Galamsey strikes, some of them leave and then they go and join. That is what is happening. So if you declare a state of emergency, you only go and kill the aged farmers in the area. not the children, or not even those who are involved in the Galamsey. So the problem is enormous. And you know, gold is also doing well in the market. So once gold is doing well in the external market, government too, even though you are briefing, you are having difficult briefing with Galamsey, but when the gold lands at Gold Board and Bank of Ghana and others, we become happy more because it ends up stabilizing our currency. So how do we fight what we want is also another factor altogether. So for the meantime, let's address the challenges down there, making farming and agric and cocoa quite attractive. And then when the people have good jobs and others, I think we can move forward from there. And also we need to provide some good hospitals still in the locations, even in tertiary areas where gold are mined, or Wasi area when gold are mined and others. Still, we don't have good hospitals. It's a challenge, very big challenge. And the degrading of the water bodies and others are all factors that have benefits and disadvantages. And the benefits are what the gold comes to help us, and then economically, and then the disadvantages are the degradations and the water bodies that are being destroyed. So which one is which? It's also almost a question. And government has a clear task. And if things are not done well, these are the pictures that will surely be flowing from the affected areas.
Thank you very much, Dr. Obeng. And thank you very much for joining us online today. I think we're grateful for your insight, and we can take leave of you now, but we'll get back if there's anything. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Reverend. Good.
All right, Father. So we still staying on this Galamsey issue, and Dr. Obeng has given a lot of insights on the cause, the factors, and what we can do. And from your end, Father, as an anti-Galamsey person, what have you been doing about such health situations? From your end, are you guys offering some humanitarian support, or is there a huge call on government? Because, in fact, from what Dr. Obeng explained, there are even issues of hospital that now, even when the people contract these conditions, they don't get any good hospital to attend. From your end, what does your campaign team doing, Father?
Okay, thank you very much. But I just wanted to comment on one or two things that Dr. Obeng, my learned brother, I think I met him in Koforidua for their PSG meeting.
Right.
Doctor disagrees with the state of emergency. He gave very valid reasons. But I think one of the proponents of the state of emergency is the Bishop Conference. But in their letter, when the president met various state holders, they mentioned that we need a state of emergency. And the reason, you see, the state of emergency is not necessarily shoot and kill. It is a determined time to take care of something that has just happened. And I give the example of the COVID. When the COVID happened, I was living in Italy. I was in Assisi. Yeah. And during that time, the Italian government came out as a state of emergency. You couldn't move within your territory. You couldn't go more than 1 kilometer square. And if you were going to go outside, you need a special permission. So, over there they came out. I remember a day somebody was kind of have to go to a shop that was outside our community. And before we realized, I was surrounded by 3 police. And then they asked for the paper as well. This is our paper. Before they allow. So there should be measures on it. Certainly, somebody going to pick his farm, produce from the farm, a woman and this. And we know those who will be doing Galamsey. So for me, that is where. But one the professor mentioned, the problem with the state of emergency are that those to supervise it are those who are doing. That is the problem we're having in Ghana.
Yeah.
Where the arsonist, the firefighter is the arsonist. That is our problem. So the person that we are called to put out the fire is the one setting the fire. So if our moral integrity and our love for the country is not there, who are those to supervise the state of emergency? It will be the same politicians or chief that we are accusing. And if they are going to compromise, then that is where the failure will come. But the state of emergency, I think it's not going to be a lawless, or the concept of it is not a lawless state where our soldiers have been on a state of emergency in Lebanon, even in Israel, wherever they go for this peacekeeping. They know the law and they observe. So that's just a comment to mention. And the doctor also make a very good point about who are the kingpins, how do we flash them? And he said that an excavator is very expensive. So if we are serious, we can easily flash. Because now who are those buying the excavators? What is their source of income? If somebody is buying about 3 or even 1, 2, 3 excavators, what is that person's source of income? If a government, or if we as a people, we want to get these people, investigate them, where did they get their money? And then we can get them. We know that you are one of the kingpins. So we can easily get this thing if we really want to work. The structures are there, the databases are there. Then about the cocoa price, which is also true, the cocoa price is just probably the tip of the iceberg, but it's not the first time. I don't get it exactly, but when we were in school, I think in the 70s, 80s, we read that there was, I didn't meet Kwame Nkrumah, but we read that in his time, the white man or the European market refused to buy the cocoa at a certain price. And Nkrumah got angry and threw the cocoa into the ocean. So what was his reaction to that? After that, what was the result, the impact? Nkrumah said, if we are going to sell always the raw beans, these people are going to do more. So he set up the West African mills. He set up the cocoa mills. Let's produce our own chocolate, our own cocoa product. Takoradi, what has happened to the West African mills? You go to Tema, what has happened to the cocoa mills? So all these industries, that is the only way that we can add value to our products. That is the only way. So if you don't have that value to our product, now the white man, you see, in business, there's no moral charity there, because in business you always want to get more. So it's not like, oh, this white man, we are not. They also want to maintain their position. So that one, we cannot blame them. Now they have seen our weakness. So even the price, you can still reduce it, but we have nothing else to do with it. But if we are going to add value to the cocoa, then this cannot happen. And who knows, even the gold, do we think that the gold is going always to be high? The white man will find that, well, we only produce the gold and we can't use it for any other thing. So that is why I think part of President Mohammed's manifesto, they were talking about even establishing gold industry where we can refine our gold. So if you don't add value to this, these are just tip of the iceberg. And then the point of this, there's no way, you see, any time that there is good for anybody, we are going to lose a medical doctor. We are going to, because when we go this, apart from those who are really, really called for a vocation that, well, no matter what you offer me, I want to be a doctor. Like when I was young, they offered me many opportunities. I said, no, I want to be a priest. I want to be a Catholic priest. Nothing enticed me. I want to be a Catholic, and I'm happy that I became a Catholic priest. So if people don't have that defined call, and then there is good, easy means, they are all going to flock there. In my dissertation, I gave an example of Elmina. Elmina in the 2012, 14, 15 there, they discovered gold here. But the stakeholders, the chief and Professor Anampra, and they came together and said, Nana, Elmina is a fishing community. Elmina is a tourist community. If we allow this mining to come, in fact, they dredge the Itri River, it's just here. If we allow this thing to come, within a short time, we are going to be flooded with all sorts of people. And then this thing is not sustainable. What is going to happen to our tourism? What is going to happen to our fishing industry? We are going to lose. So Elmina, they stood firm and they stopped it. Now Elmina is still boosting or booming with their tourism and their fishing industry. So this thing is just a flashy thing which is very attractive. I like the point Dr. made of how on earth should Ghana go to Burkina Faso to look for tomatoes? I've been to Burkina. When you go to Burkina, the part that they call forest, their forest part, is their southern, which is our desert. So you see, Ghana, from let's say Bamboy going up, we claim that those are dry. And then Burkina is still above Dandom and Paga, which is even drier. When they are coming towards Ghana, they say that is the forest area. I went there, I said, where is it? I said, this is what we call forest. I was like, these Ghanaians, I don't know. It's like God should just line us and lash us one by one. We are becoming lazy. We have become, I don't know what
So in Burkina, I went to Burkina, Ouagadougou. They have a very big area, the size of almost Elmina. It's all man-made dam when you go there. And then when it rains once a year. Here in Ghana, in the western region, in the Amansi area, it's raining. My town, it rains almost.
Yeah.
5 times. In my town, it rains almost every month. So how can we go there and then look for tomatoes? So we have become like rotten children. They are pampered children. We have become like pampered children where we want to be spoon-fed. So we are looking for the easy way. So what is happening? We make boast of the gold that is coming, as Doctor said. The gold board is somehow hypocritical. We are fighting the thing that we want. So how can that be? But even granted, that is helping us now. Because the way we are mining, after mining the area, that is how we are destroying the forest. Because there's no technology. We are just digging and then washing. So we finish and then we go. Then we keep on migrating. So you see, that is why the areas are washed away. So in the western region, they destroyed the Wassa area, they have come to the Sevi area, they have come to the Alwin area. So they keep on moving. It doesn't last more than 3 years. So everything will finish, then how can they go back to mine again? Because even where there is a gold, the way they have dug it, going back, they cannot. You will not even have a road. If you look at the Nimri forest and look at the excavations that are there, where are the cars going to park? So we are not against mining. Mining has been in existence probably Adam and Eve time, but at least we can note it from the time of Abraham, from the time of Moses. When Moses were coming, they took gold rings from the Egyptians, they gave them to the Israelites, and that is what Aaron used to make the golden calf. So think about it, about more than 6,000, 8,000 years. But we are saying that the mining should be done with technology, with the wisdom of our ancestors. In my dissertation, I mentioned that Ghana can be divided into about 4 groups. Let us have the green zone, which is going to be our food basket. So what there is a farming point is wisdom said that if we have enough gold deposited under the forest, gold cavities sink under it and then produce. But what are the multinationals doing? The multinationals are looking for profit maximization. So they come and tell us, oh, going down is very expensive, this and that. So they just excavate it, make the forest bare, so they will maximize their profit, and then they leave us more deprived. By the time that they go, we have nothing left. They will start to create a kind of a social responsibility, this and that, create it. When they go 3, 4, 5 years, it's not sustainable. So the future is very bleak. Our youth will finish exploring, reading the land. And what is happening? They are all going to migrate to Accra. They are going to migrate into Kumasi. And we are going to see a lot of Abuboya and this and that. So a lot of crime is going to. Last week, I was listening to the radio, and according to the MTTU, the motor traffic, that out of the road accidents, 40% were caused by Abuboya, were caused by the Okada and motorcycle. 40%.
Interesting.
So every 10 people who were killed on the road, 4 were killed by motorbikes. So the future is very, very bleak. So as nation builders, we have to sit down there and ask the question Pope Francis asked: what world do we want to live for the children coming after us? What Ghana do we want to live one day when we are not there? What Ghana do we want to live for those that are going to come after us? For those that are going to read about us? And I think that is what it means to build a country, to build a nation. So now back to your main question: that what are we also doing as a church? Well, as a church, as a priest, I use my campaign to, like now in my village, I've told the people, don't eat fish from the Tano River. Don't eat fish from the Boyen River. These two are condemned because, again, science has proved that fishes absorb mercury more than any other creatures. So if you go to the water, the living beings in the water, the fish, the shellfishes, they are like the lobsters and all the apophis and those ones, they absorb more mercury. So when you eat them, you get sick. If you watch the gold poison for gold, which as Dr. Erasmus did, people from the Central Boy, they came out with some fishes. There's fish that are very flat. Sometimes, like these babies we are seeing, sometimes the head is so big. Sometimes you see the tail is bigger than the tail. All these are effects of watch the poison for good. You see, all these are effects of the mercury. So on my part, I educate the people. So please don't eat. For God's sake, fortunately, by God's grace, my village, which has about 15,000, I call it a village. It's big, but I like the village because when I was growing up, a village. It's about 15,000 people, about 30 or something kilometers square. Our waters are still pristine waters, rivers. There's no galamsey on our area. The community stood firmly that we don't do any galamsey. Every now and then there are pockets of people being influenced. We just pass them through the law. So they have water to drink. They have, in fact, I can send you some pictures. I have crabs last year when we were doing our inauguration. I asked them, now bring crabs, bring a coffee, a baby, bring all those things from the rivers, and they are still enjoying it. Yes. So that is what, and they now appreciate it. They have seen the value, that it's more than good. It's more than good. And my argument is that, you see, the reason why we are destroying that, the gold that we are doing, it's like sand. I always say, dig anywhere, even on the street, you find sand. You find grain of sand. But that place is not for sand mining because it's not condensed. So what is happening, the particles of gold, which is just like fish scales, which we find in the soil, they are part of the soil component needed for the cocoa, needed for the trees, needed for the pepper that we grow. So the white man, when they are preparing their soil, they will just go take the soil, make sure that they have all these soil components in them to manure their grape, to manure the olive tree, to manure that. God has given it to the natural. So that is why when they wash, they have to wash and wash and wash till they get a very small particle, and they have to put the mercury to coagulate it. If you go to Obuasi, it's not like that. The gold is a rock lying there. The geologist will tell you it's a big rock that after the crust of it, the molten, this thing happened, and then it has solidified, and you see it lying there. So you just you crack it, and you crack. That is the mining. So we have the technology, we have the knowledge, we have the scientific. It's just that we are refusing to apply it and causing doom to our own existence. So thank you.
Very intriguing. And Father, let me just ask you maybe the last question before you go. Do you foresee a Ghana where galamsey will be no more a problem? Yes, Father, can you hear me?
Is our host there?
Yes, hello, Father, can you hear me? I can hear you. Hello?
It doesn't even mean that you are saying the person is.
Hello, Father. Hello?
Hello, Mr. Host, are you there?
Yes, sir, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I think you are off.
Can you hear me now, Father?
Yes, you were off. Your mic was off.
Oh, no, I actually was on. I guess it was a network problem. But, Father, I was asking.
You were off for some time.
Okay. I was asking, maybe as a very last question, Father. Do you foresee a Ghana where galamsey will no longer be a problem? From where you said, do you foresee that?
Can they go? Yes, there's noise at your background.
Right, is it better now?
Yeah. It's better, go ahead.
Yes, so I was asking that, do you foresee, I'm asking the last question, do you foresee a Ghana where galamsey will no longer be a challenge?
Well, if you are looking at it as a challenge, as a national crisis, that one I say we can. But as something that will be completely off, that one I would say no. You see, if I have to go back to the history, you see, the first time galamsey became illegal, as we call it galamsey, artisanal mining became illegal was in 1910. So around 1890, 1910, that was when the white man, the so-called, our people have been mining. And they were mining that if you go to Wasa area, the mine name for the Wasa, they call it Mpomena. Friends say, Amina, a war, a boom. So the Wasa people, I did my research in the Wasa Niawa, they call it Mpomena. And even the dredgery, they've been doing it in a very small scale. And again, I will, how do I say, I will even vindicate former President Rawlings, that I'm head of state. When Rawlings came and said that let us now legalize small-scale mining. He had a good intention. The intention was that, now I'm just cutting the history short. After the structural adjustment program, and then a lot of the workers were thrown out from the mines. Then they were doing nothing. So they started encroaching in some of the industrial mining. In those days, the soldiers were protecting the industries against these artisanal miners. So Rawlings thought, okay, now these people have the skill. So let us legalize them so that now they can use their skill. And the first one, PNDC, I think law 219, PNDC 219, 218, 219. He said that it should be a cooperative of not more than 10 people, 1 to 9. And they have to do it with no moving machinery. So they were using pickers, they were using the tray, they were using this, which was not destructive, it was what our ancestors were doing. And then now that is not smuggling or it's not illegal, they could, whatever they get, come and sell it to the precious mineral marketing board. It's as simple as that. You see, this golden boy is nothing new. It has been there. Sometimes we just change the names. Yeah, if you read it. So the precious minerals marketing board were established. So the problem is that because of the greed, then now we came in, we have the excavators, we have this, we have that. So no matter what you do, so if we are able, these excavators that want destroying the land, we can stop them. We can stop them if we want. As I said, we can easily track those who have the excavators. We can track. Once there was something to do, I just went to the DBL. I saw the person who was having. So if I, a lay person, can do that, why can't the intelligence that we have do that? So that one can be rid of. Then as for the small children, as long as they are doing it, it's not causing damage. That one you can't completely. But the problem that we have now is the structuralized galamsey that is really affecting the country. Illegal. And now when we talk about the illegal, we have we have licensed illegal mining. We have unlicensed illegal mining. We have the mechanized illegal mining. We have also the artisanal illegal mining.
Of arbitrators.
Yeah, let me also add that in my opinion, what Father has said is very good. Most of them are already on the ground. But the fundamental issue is that there are no jobs. And the Galamsey guys are prepared to die, even if these soldiers are ready to face them in one way or the other. We have seen clashes here and there. And the fact that there are no jobs, and the fact that cocoa is even coming to add to the problem, the fact that there are no good roads in the area, the fact that there are no good schools in the area, which is affecting migration from the village to town, to the cities, and so on and so forth. And with urbanization now, even people in the villages are using phones, they are on TikTok, they are here and there, and they are seeing what is happening in the whole world and all that. Now, living in the village is becoming a challenge. There was this rural electrification that was undertaken some years back that was trying to send light to the villages and others, which would have made my life a little interesting. Some areas are still in darkness as we speak. And even when you get to the town, you get the light to the place, even light bills and others are also still becoming a challenge. How to get money to buy a TV and others are still a challenge because the way they are doing are not fetching enough. In my opinion, the repealing the laws that make people mine in the forest is good. We have to completely ban the use of excavators and bulldozers in the mines, in Galamsey mining. Only the good and established mines are those who use these equipments, and they can be properly identified. So we have to ban the use of those equipments. And then we also have to try and fish out the sale of these chemicals and make them illegal and enforce it properly. Those are some of the factors that we can really get to try and make up the fight against Galamsey so that we can. And also the point is that most of the gold mines that are existing are not employing the youth of the areas, probably because of things like that. They are not getting jobs there. Even if they get jobs, they are the manual jobs. You go morning to night digging here and there, and at the end of the month, they put some peanuts in your hands. And most of these mines are also not paying their workers well. Some are also even not paying the right royalties. Some are not paying enough dividend and taxes to government, and so on and so forth. And most of them used to provide housing in the communities. These days, they are fizzling out on some of the issues because most of them come in and about 5 years they enjoy tax-free incentives and others, and end up selling the mines to
Dr.
other
Obeng,
people to come in as fresh people.
Sorry, Dr.
Also
Obeng,
come and take advantage of additional tax incentives.
Dr. Obeng,
So
I'm sorry to
many-
cut you,
yes.
Doctor. Sorry to cut you.
Yeah.
Is there a device on at your end? We're getting some feedback.
Oh, yes. I'm on lectures. Let me slow it down, put that one. So
Thank you very
the
much.
issue, so the issue has got to do with these factors that are affecting the use of these factors are affecting these Galamsey issues and making things difficult for government to implement. And let me also mention one factor Father raised concerning policies that are supposed to guide our developmental efforts. He mentioned these Burkina Faso issues and things like that. And you can see that we don't have any proper policies as for what is earned, is used within the area, and provide them with the necessary structures and facilities and infrastructure. Everything that is earned goes to the national kitty. And that is why there has been a call that this cocoa matter shouldn't have affected cocoa farmers alone. There have been a call that this reduction in the price should not have affected cocoa farmers alone. They are raising this point, and I can see clearly the point they are making, that cocoa farmers have sacrificed enough for all of us in the country. And if it has come to reducing the price of cocoa, it shouldn't be. The price that they are supposed to earn should be paid to them. Then we find a way of making up those losses that have come in, so that the cocoa farmers can continue to have confidence in the government and have confidence in the job they are doing, and then they can maintain their cocoa farms as it is. We are saying this because when you go to light bill, for instance, we are all paying. Do we know that we are paying taxes to pay back the debts we owe in the energy sector? I hope we all know. So why can't we also all bear the cost that could go to cocoa farmers if there was a loss over there? We all have to bear it, because the energy sector has been used by all of us. And if they have bought crude and others and used them to generate power, and we have sold them to us at least prices, and they couldn't recover, we have to pay. And we are paying. When you buy petrol today, you are paying tax on it to go and repay energy sector debt. Why couldn't we have done the same thing by paying the cocoa farmer the price that we have guaranteed to them? The losses that will come, we share it among all Ghanaians, because the cocoa they are selling, or the cocoa they are selling, the benefit doesn't accrue to them alone. It accrues to all Ghanaians. So this is one point that we really need to talk about it and find a way of compensating the cocoa farmers for what has happened, so that we don't aggravate these Galamsey issues for them to go and cut down their trees or sell their cocoa farms for cocoa farmer for gold people today. It's very enticing. And as I said, my other brother also did the same thing, sold his cocoa farm to these gold diggers, and you know, these police people were behind them, even came and picked my brother, that he was not allowing them to move into the place simply because they have not finished paying the amount that they were supposed to pay. And the places they dug to, they did not cover them, and then they left. So it's a number of challenges. And we really need to find a way of developing these areas, give them good hospitals, give them good roads, and so on. So Obuasi Road used to be very terrible until recently that, the place was put in order. What are we doing to our rail lines and so forth that are all within those areas that could have improved farming? Because when you farm and you're able to sell at good prices and they are transported to the cities, some are exported and so forth, agri becomes very attractive. I met one lady from Malaysia. They are palm oil development company. I met her at a training program in UK last year April. And when she spoke, and she was so happy to hear that I was from Ghana, because they took most of these efforts to develop their palm oil industry. And if she spoke about what palm oil has done to them in Malaysia, in fact, I just bowed down my head in shame. That Ghana, why? We are destroying almost everything. Now we are touching cocoa. We are going to destroy that one too. So it's a lot. Moving forward, we need to create jobs. We need to develop the localities and make the place attractive for the people to stay. It's all this that will discourage people from doing what you can pass the law, but people will not obey the law. And what have you done? Until the fundamentals are put in order, when you pass the law, it will not work. Because those who are to police them will be enticed, and they just walk around and they come back, give some reports. But by the time you go and see the Cobra, it's still the same. So then where are we heading towards? So generally, those are the factors that I think we need to look at in order to dismantle this Galamsey menace.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Obeng, with your comeback intervention. And I must say a very big thank you also to Father Joseph Blay for your very insightful contributions on this issue of Galamsey. We'll take a very short break, as I mentioned. We'll also be discussing CAF's decision and its implication on African football. So we'll take a very short breather here, and when we come back, if Dr. Obeng will still be around, since he's a sports enthusiast, he's going to help us do the discussion. Also, we'll be joined by Phil Annan, who is also a sports journalist. Do not go away. Stay tuned.
You're tuned in to Z 101.9 FM, your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
switching to the CAF issues on the AFCON final. For those of us who follow sports news or follow the news this week, we came to know that CAF came up with a decision indicating that Senegal's win in the AFCON finals has been annulled, and that the new winner is the Moroccan team. Dr. Obin, can you help us? For the sake of our listeners who might not have followed the news, what happened and what caused CAF to come to this decision?
Thank you. This issue is very difficult to talk about at the moment because Senegal has given their indication to appeal and against that decision.
Yeah.
But let me try and make some kind of analysis of what's happened to what events led to the taking of this particular decision. We all recall the AFCON in Morocco. We all watched what happened there, those dramatic periods where the Senegalese team partially walked out. Partially because at least there were one or two players that were left on the field, and that is a tactic. It's a tactic because when you entirely walk off the field, then certainly the rules will affect the decisions that will be taken. So tactically, there were one or two players that were always on the field, and therefore we cannot say that they completely walked out. But after some time, we all recall the team was persuaded and they came back onto the field, and the referee resumed play with the taking of the penalty, which was missed, and then the eventual winning goal by Senegal, and then the lifting of the trophy. And after the incident, we all recall that for what had happened, of course, there were going to be some rolling of heads, and therefore the CAF disciplinary committee came up with some rulings that resulted in fines and others to both the Moroccans and the Senegalese team. In fact, we all thought that decision was quite fair, even though the amount involved were quite huge, and we thought probably, given the circumstances, they could have been cautioned in one way or the other. But CAF defended it and said that they needed to stamp their authority on the game and then bring some kind of reputation into the game, which was quite okay. I think the matter should have rested over there. But while we see that the Moroccans were bent on winning the cup, whether fair or foul, so Morocco appealed to the appeals committee, and then the appeals committee, after about 2 months or so after the AFCON, has come out with a ruling overturning what had happened on the field, surprisingly, and then awarding 3 goals, 3 goals to Morocco together with the cup. So these are the chain of events that have taken place and the decision that has been made.
Intriguing. I've been joined also by Phil Annan, who's a sports journalist. Phil, you're welcome.
Thank you.
So, Dr. Obin was recounting what had ensued and what had caused CAF to come up with a decision. He's rightfully mentioned that Senegal has given an indication that they're going to appeal the decision to CAS in Switzerland.
Yeah.
But the issue now outstanding, I think, which Senegal is arguing, is that the referee is the one who takes the final decision on whether a team has won or not, and not the football body. What do you make of it, Phil?
The most intriguing aspect of this meeting is that from day one, when the sanctions were given out on the 28th of January, they based those sanctions on the same article 84. And I don't seem to understand why they've gone back, and then Morocco made a couple of they gave out some points that because the Senegal walked off the pitch, and to be honest with you, if you could see, it was actually 14 minutes. The rule states that if a team walks off the pitch for 15 minutes, but then the disciplinary board, the same board that came out with the sanctions in January, stated that it was 17 minutes, which and to be honest with you as well, the players, some of the players, like Robin rightly said, some of the players, they don't leave the pitch. So it wasn't the full team that left the pitch.
Yeah.
The sanctions that were made to that were given out to Senegal, I think it was $650,000, and then a number of players. But then, to be honest, my issue has to do with the same issues that the same articles that they used in sanctioning both teams in January, which they are using to overturn the tax for Morocco. What I don't understand, seriously, when those were made, they came out to state that article 8, which is one of the disciplinary codes for CAF, is the main reason for something for attending for Morocco, which to be honest, I see this to be going along because of the also trying to appeal to make matters whatever. But I think CAF would have done better. They shouldn't have gone to even sit on this case again after sanctioning in January.
I see. Dr. Abin, I think you wanted to chip in when Phil started. Hello, Dr. Abin. Okay. And while at Phil, now let me ask you, from where you sit, do you think it's a healthy precedent for CAF to interfere in such instances? This is like at the pinnacle of our football in Africa. Do you think it's healthy that they will come up with such a decision and say, we have taken such a very controversial decision and said that we are stripping the country of their title to give to another country, and that all the players should return the medals?
To be honest with you, I think the derived countries should have stood there, because yes, you can probably come with imposed more sanctions, but to overturn it and give the trophy to Morocco, I think it's the rule. That's where CAF wants to work. It's made the whole world. The credibility of CAF itself has been an issue. And for coming out again to do this, it doesn't speak well for Africa, especially for CAF.
Right now, what with the development of Senegal intending to appeal, do you think the appeal is going to be successful? Do you think CAF looks favorably on such matters?
Not at all. Not at all. And let me state that the IFAB laws of the game of 5 states, specifically 5.2, says that referee's decision on facts connected to play, including goals and match results, are final. So whichever way you take into whatever, the account of trying to attend whatever, you should also know that there was a referee on the pitch of the day that has given you the
Yeah.
The VAR team was there, which I don't want to even talk about Morocco. They are not in the top yet content right now. But I think that CAF on this matter did not do well at all when it comes to this disciplinary measures. They've done a lot that a lot back over under the carpet, whatever. But then this time around, they've gone too far with this matter.
But I've seen some people also, should I say, point some accusing fingers at CAF to the extent that I'm told I think the current federation president in Morocco, he was, I think, either a first vice president or so at CAF. So people think that he's had a hand in it. Do you agree with such assertions?
I don't want, to be honest with you, I don't want to be personal on this matter.
Okay.
I think the issue has to do with the disciplinary board. That's it.
But has this happened before, where a nation has legitimately won on a pitch, the referee has declared they have been crowned, they've been given their medals and been stripped of it? Do you know of any such previous instance like that?
Yes, I think it was 1960 where football rules were strong enough and they used to do things differently now. So I wouldn't go that far back, because those decisions that took back then were much different from the ones taken by council.
Okay, so it means in contemporary football, this is like one of the first kind.
Yes, sure.
Now, if you were to give your parting words to CAF, what will you say?
To be honest, they've taken the decision already, and whatever that would come from us, they should just accept and let football dogs lie.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Annan. Phil Annan. I think Dr. Obing is still online. Doctor, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, Doctor, my time is run up. I can take maybe just a minute or two commentary from you. I was asking, so after, with all of this, what do you make of it, the chances of Senegal's success and all that? What do you make of it and the implications on African football?
Yeah, I think it will be a success, because the whole world have reacted to the interpretation that the appeals court, the court of the appeals committee has come up with, and the issue that was raised about certain conflicts of interest, which I know someone has really taken it up to sue the vice president of CAF, who is a Moroccan.
Yeah. And
there have been a series of activities that seem to point to the fact that some plans were orchestrated to try and give the cap to Morocco. And if you look at the disciplinary committee's interpretation, it was the best under the circumstance. And for the appeals committee to meet, and it has been identified as a quiet meeting. And the chairperson, this lady judge in Nigeria, has already been bashed seriously by her countrymen about the decision that her committee has made. And it's across the whole world and Africa. And I believe that Senegal's appeal will be upheld by the final arbitration committee, because the game was ended, and it's the same officials who even handed over the cap and the medals to these people while they were there. Because if the match had not ended properly, they would have known that the match did not end properly, and therefore those medals and cap wouldn't have been awarded. Now you supervise the whole thing, and then at the end you go and sit in your office and decide to annul what has been, determined by the disciplinary committee. That's highly unfortunate. And this has really cast a very dark period on African football. And I think CAF itself would have to be dissolved, in my opinion, for this decision that they have made. And especially the appeals committee headed by this Nigerian woman judge who has misinterpreted whose committee has misrepresented the status of the articles of the appeals committee. So I urge Senegal to go ahead and appeal, and I believe with the world reaction and the facts that are behind the case, they will be very successful, and the CAF will be retained by Senegal. After all, matches are won on the field, and the referee knew the interpretations, and his report never said that the match didn't end. The match commissioner was there. There's no report that said that the match didn't end. Where did the appeals committee headed by this Nigerian woman go and take a decision that is so hilarious and so bad and affecting the image of African football? I think it was in a very bad taste, as my colleague mentioned, and this must be reversed in order to save African football.
Indeed. And I think we can only just wish Senegal the best as they intend to pursue an appeal.
Yes, we have to wish them the best, and we have to give them the support. I urge all African countries who want the best for African football. For the North Africans have really stepped on our football for a very long period. The use of images at matches in North Africa, the watering of fields, the all sorts of tactics. When they travel down Africa to come and play, they lie down on the field and roll over and waste time and all that. And all because CAF is headquarters in Cairo. So they have been winning all the African champion cups. And that is really affecting African football. It is high time the headquarters of CAF is moved away from Cairo and brought down to the majority down south of the Sahara to be hosted there. I think they are over treading on their bounds, and that is bad. And in fact, those kind of friendships that they accomplish, that CAF president is a friend to FIFA president and whatever, they were all there when these incidents happened, and they know the performance of the referee. They know the performance of the VAR team that compelled that fake penalty to be given. And protesting on the field is part of the game. Who said we don't protest? You protest, all right. And even if the protest will take 30 minutes, with the fact that the referee doesn't call off the match, it doesn't end the match. The referee must call off the match. And if you come out and you play all and you lose, then you want to go and win a cup in one way or the other. And I'm happy that the Moroccan captain has come out to say that they don't like the cap. He has come out clearly that his mother has advised him that they shouldn't take what they have not earned.
Yeah.
And that is right, yes. These are the kind of patriots that we need in Africa, so that we stop this kind of corruption and engaging in things that affect the development of our own selves, not only in sports, but everywhere. You see our people colluding and doing things that affect the progress of Africa itself. This must end. And if they don't do that, I urge all African members in south of the Sahara in particular to work again to make sure that this CAF is dissolved. Either we set up our own African union or some union of football or something, because the North Africans are doing too much against those that are south of the Sahara.
Right.
They do things such a way that when you are even to travel there, you are finding it difficult to go and play over there. It's bad.
Right.
It's very bad, and CAF should not supervise that thing. We should move the headquarters from Egypt in the first place, and then look at the way they are organized. Even the FIFA general, the CAF Secretary General is under investigation for money laundering. Where did he get all those monies from that is currently under investigation? What is happening in CAF? So much corruption here and there. And they know that the North Africans give them a lot of money. In fact, they watch the matches and they give them a lot of money. And we don't use money to do that. And even the allegations that CAF chooses African nations that are able to host the game based on the money they have, especially the oil countries and others, so that those small countries cannot host the CAF tournaments. Why are all these things being done? It's bad. And I think Senegal must retain their CAF. Thank you.
Thank you for the passionate appeal made by Dr. Obeng, and thank you, Phil Anaman, also for joining us with your insightful thoughts on the CAF's decision and its implication on African football. And I must say a very big thank you to all my guests, again to Dr. Obeng, to Father Blay, and to Phil Annan for helping us have a good conversation today. We are very grateful for your time, sirs.
Thank you very much.
Right, and many thanks to all our cherished viewers and listeners. For all of you who have spent your Saturday morning with us, we are very grateful. Thank you for tuning in. For those of you who join on radio or those who join online, we are very grateful for your time. Today we've had conversations which show the extent to which our decisions affect us as a people. Whether decisions that affect the environment or even affect our sports, it definitely has implication on us, whether as an African people collectively or as individuals. So I urge us all this weekend and in the days to come, every decision you take, make sure to put Ghana and Africa first. Have a very good weekend, and we'll meet again next week. Thank you, and God bless us all.
You're tuned in to Z 101.9 FM, your lifestyle, leisure,